Today we're going to do a mindfulness exercise. And this exercise is called the Raisin exercise in the mindfulness community. And it's a common practice that a lot of the mindfulness-based stress reduction programs do. And it's a really powerful practice because it takes us back into the present moment and helps us to really appreciate and enrich our experience of eating. And so what I encourage you to do is to get a small morsel of food. Usually it's done with a raisin. So I have a small raisin here. And if you need to pause the video, do that now and go get a small morsel of something to eat. And the raisin works perfectly. If you don't have a raisin, then anything will do. And we'll start by simply placing this small piece of food in our hand. And the mindfulness practice is all about one, being present. So we are here and now, and engaging our senses in this process and really being in tune to our experience. And so to start with, we're just going to look at this piece of food. I'm going to say raisin because that's what I have. This small raisin, and noticing the color, noticing the texture, just visually looking at the texture, noticing what it feels like in our hand. Is there a weight to it? What does it feel like when it contacts your skin? Can you feel that difference in sensation? And now we're just going to wrap our hand around our raisin or a piece of food and just feel it. So we're using this tactile sense to notice, what does this raisin actually feel like? The texture, again, the weight, what it feels like as it touches different parts of our hand. Do you notice it more when you touch it with your fingers versus in the palm of your hand? Just becoming really curious about this experience. And now we're going to smell it. So just putting it up to your nose and noticing what it smells like. Maybe it smells different from one nostril to the other. And this, sometimes it might feel silly doing a practice like this, and yet this practice enriches our experience, and it reminds us that in any moment when we engage all of our senses, it creates a completely different experience for us. It's oftentimes much richer. It's a much fuller experience. So we're smelling, and now we're just going to put it up to our lips and just notice what the food feels like just as it touches your lip. The bottom lip, the top lip. And now we're going to take a tiny little bite. And before you bite down, notice that urge to bite down. Notice the habit of, as soon as we put food in our mouth, we want to chew. And just hold it on your tongue. And move it around in your mouth a little bit. Just noticing is there any flavor that you're tasting? Is there a texture to it? And then ever so slowly, allow your teeth to bite down and chew. And just slowly chew this tiny little piece of food and notice the experience. Notice, does the flavor change? Can you sense the salivation in your mouth? And before you swallow and bring it into your digestive tract, just slow down. And then you can very mindfully swallow. And then take a pause before you take the rest of the raisin or the piece of food. We're just taking a pause. You can close your eyes if you'd like to and noticing what's the taste in the mouth. Is there a sensation in the belly or the throat, having eaten this small piece of food? And now we'll take this remaining piece and again, just notice how the shape has changed. Noticing what the inside of the raisin or the piece of food looks like. It's a slightly different texture, a slightly different appearance and color. Noticing it feels different in our hands now that it's slightly smaller and changed in shape. Does it smell any differently? And now very mindfully, we're just going to place the rest of the food on our tongue and refrain from biting for a second. So just holding it there. Noticing flavors. Noticing the urge to maybe start chewing. And see if you can put it between your teeth and actually not take a bite. Now very slowly and consciously we'll take a bite. And noticing what it feels like when your teeth make contact. And then the flavor that is released. As you take another bite. And then again, just noticing that urge to swallow the food down. And just take a pause before you do that. And then allow yourself to swallow as the food moves into the esophagus and down into the stomach. Just noticing what it feels like in your body. Is there any residual taste in the mouth? Can you sense any energy in the back of the throat, down into the belly, now that there's this little bit of nourishment, this little bit of food that's now entered your digestive system? So this is a practice that you can do with your meals. Maybe you don't do it the entire meal that slowly, but the first bite even, where you pick up your fork and you notice what the weight of the fork is in your hand, and you look at your food and notice all the colors, and you smell your food and really engage all of your senses and just notice, does it create a richer experience for you? Does it feel like it's a more complete experience? And then when you actually taste your food, to slow down a little bit and really notice it. So I encourage you to practice this throughout the week with eating. Maybe you can do it with just one meal a day or with one bite a day, just slowing down and really noticing and paying attention. And remember, the element of mindfulness is curiosity. So we're curious about the experience and we're really in tune, we're intentionally paying attention. And it's free of judgment. So we're not trying to change anything, manipulate anything, perfect anything. If it's not an enjoyable experience, that's okay. When it comes to a mindful approach, we're just observing that too. Maybe we sense frustration as we're doing this, or we sense, well, this is silly. Why am I doing this? And these are all things to just start to become aware of and to notice in ourselves. So try this. It's an experiment, and I hope it serves you in a positive way.